So the story of a profitable trade by a subscriber continues. In my previous video, I discussed with you this email sent by Deepika from Tamil Nadu. She spoke about a stock called TD Power Systems, and she mentioned the price at which she bought and her subsequent selling points. I replied to her asking for some specific details about the date on which the trade was taken. And she has replied to that email. I want to show you that email. Before I show you that email, I request all of you to please at least once read my standard disclaimer in the description of this video, because I am a SEBI-registered research analyst. Coming back to the email that she sent me now, this is the second email. Now we have a lot of details here. So this is part 2 of the story of a profitable trade by a subscriber. I probably think I will make part 3 as well, because there's too much in this email. I don't want to cover everything in one video because it will become too much information. There is so much to learn from this experience that Deepika Thangavel has been kind enough to share with us. So let us thank her for sharing with us all these details. She writes, "Dear Rohit sir, I am grateful for you taking the time to review my trade, sir. As you asked, I am sharing the details of the stock I traded. I bought the stock on 15 September 2025 at 554. Below are the trade and setup details." So in the previous email, she had mentioned 555.30. That's the buy point, but the execution price, this is very important. The execution price and the buy point may not be the same. I might draw the yellow line at a certain level, but when it comes to actually executing the trade, I might get a slightly different price because of slippage and things like that. So she has sent this trade overview, average buy price and average sell price. We will look at this. So trade setup summary, pivot buy point. The moment she says pivot point, I know that she's talking about a weekly chart. She has given a buy range, sell range, stop loss range. Please note that brokerage charges are not included in this. That's okay, not a problem. For delivery kind of trades, brokerage is something that is not in our control. Brokerage, taxes. So all we can do as professional traders is identify a proper setup, take the trade, put our stop loss and target, and take it forward from there. It's the finance ministry that decides all of these things. We don't have control over STT and income taxes, capital gains tax, and things like that. Brokerage also, the broking company would decide. So I don't pay much attention to the brokerage. Since it was a positional trade, I first analyzed the weekly chart for the ranges. So obviously, this is my orange trading system. So in this video, I will only focus on the technicals. In the next video, probably I will look at the same email. I will look at liquidity, comparative, and fundamental. In this video, I just want to focus on the technical because there are a lot of things going on here. So she has mentioned the date of the purchase. And since she's talking weekly chart, let us go to the weekly chart, okay? I had opened a daily chart in the previous video because I was not aware that she had taken the trade on the weekly chart. So she said 15 September. So I want you to notice this. Okay, this is 15 September. Now you see on 15 September on the daily time frame, the blue, green, red are aligned. Okay, so the 50 days above the 150 and 150 is above the 200. So the basics are in place. In this trade, the stock is already in a confirmed stage 2 uptrend. Now let's go to the weekly time frame chart. So I will write TD Power Systems. So September is somewhere here. So this 15 September, this is 8 September. The week starts on 8 September. Here the week starts on 15 September. So I probably think she was looking at this buy point or this buy point. Let us go to Market Smith and see what Market Smith was showing. So let's go to TD Power Systems. This is an interesting trade. Why it is slow? Let me refresh this. You see this? Let me go to the weekly chart. Let me open this. Let's click on weekly. Yeah, so you see here, this is stage 2, which means base 2. She has bought an early stage stock. This is not a late stage stock. It's a 10-week base. The depth is 18%. So the pivot point is 552.75. So you see here, she has written here 552.75. And when I click here on this, see it says pivot 552.75. See, I'm very fascinated by all this because when a beginner is looking at a chart and when everything is correct, it provides inspiration for all of us that the rules are being followed here. Okay. I have not yet done the comparative analysis, liquidity, fundamental market. I'm just focusing on technicals. Technically speaking, this range identification is correct. 552.75 is the pivot point. So let's do that on our chart. Okay, so let's do that. So this is 552.75, the high of this. Well, my spectacles, I have to, yeah. So this is 552.75. Let's draw a line there. Sorry, rather than drawing a line, let us draw the range there so that we'll know whether her buy range is correct or not. So this is 552.75. And then the buy range will be, this will be 5% above the range. So I have a calculator here, 552.75 multiplied by 1.05, which is 580.38. So let me write that 580.38. That's the buying range. Let's see what she has mentioned. 580.80. Fantastic. So this is also correct. Now let's look at the sell range. So let's go back to this chart. Let's draw the sell range. So this one will be 20% above pivot point. So 552.75 multiplied by 1.20. This is 663.30. 663.30. And this will be 25%. 552.75 multiplied by 1.25, which is 690.93. 690.93. And the color we will give as green color. You see, green color, the stock already hit the target. And she said she bought the stock on 15th, whereas she had an opportunity to buy on the week of 1st September. That means 1st September would have been a Monday. Okay. Then 8th September, she could have bought the stock here in these 2 weeks, but she bought here. Okay. That's a problem. That's a low volume week. So I will come to the problems. Okay. Then let's look at her stop loss range. So 663.30, is that correct? Let's check. 663.30 and 690.93, fantastic. So her selling range calculation is correct. Now let's see what is her stop loss range calculation. So let's draw it again. Let us give red color. So this will be 8% below. So 552.75 multiplied by 0.92, 508.53, 508.53, and this will be 95% of pivot point 552.75 multiplied by 0.95, which is 525.10. 525.10. That's the stop loss range. Okay, so let's see whether her stop loss range is correct or not. So 508.55, 525.11, fantastic. So all of these values are correct. So congratulations, since she is a beginner, she has done this absolutely perfectly. But you see, if we look at, let's say, calendar September 2025. You see, September 2025, first was a Monday, 8th was a Monday, 15th was a Monday. Okay. So let me remove this. So in this week, she could have taken the trade in this week. In this week, she had another opportunity to take the trade. She skipped these 2 weeks. She took the trade here. Okay. Now, if we analyze this base, this trade was taken when, see, at the time that she took the trade, it was a Monday. Okay. So how do you look at volume on a Monday? So basically, you look at the previous week volume. Okay. What's the previous week average volume? Here it says 3.92. You see, this week average volume is 3.92 million. So 3.92 divided by 5 is 0.78 million. So 780,000 shares should have been traded on Monday. So on Monday, when she bought the stock, she first has to ensure that 780,000 shares at least are being traded on that particular day, which is Monday. Now, Monday, let's say she is buying the stock at 11 o'clock. So roughly there are 6 hours. So 780,000 which volume which is expected on Monday divided by 6 hours. So per hour 130K volume is expected. So if she is buying the stock at 11 o'clock, which is roughly 2 hours after market open, she should expect at least 260,000, because per hour if you want 130K volume. So in 2 hours, you should expect at least 260,000 as volume. If the volume is 260,000 and if the price is entering that blue zone, then it makes sense to get into the trade, because on a pro rata basis, we are trying to figure out if the average weekly volume is 3.92, what should ideally be the volume on a Monday? So 3.92 divided by 5 days in a week. On Monday, if I am expecting 0.78 million, then per hour I am expecting 130K roughly, because there are 6 hours in a trading session normally. So per hour, if I am expecting 130K, then in 2 hours I am expecting around 260K. So if I'm buying the stock at 11:15 when the price is inside the blue zone, my eyes should be on volume. Is it 260K? Now, this is not easy for a beginner, but I'm trying to explain how I would approach the trade. Second point I would like to mention here, probably she did not buy the stock here or here is because probably the stock never came on her filtered list. Maybe the relative strength was below 80, maybe it was below 70. There could be many reasons why the stock did not come on her watch list. Probably 1st September on a daily time frame chart, the moving averages were not aligned. Remember the blue, green, red? Probably that could be the reason she would have rejected the trade. Probably the institutional demand could be C, so it never would show up in the filter. So the reason why I personally think she ended up buying the stock in this particular week and not these 2 weeks is because probably these 2 weeks the stock never came on her filtered list. Even I personally uh, check the list every single day. I did not buy this stock. The reason I will explain later. Uh, when we look at comparative analysis, I think comparative analysis was the reason I did not buy this stock. But in this video, my focus is only on technicals. So let's look at the base. What have I taught you? How do you look at the base? In the base, I want you to count the number of red bars. Okay, red bar means the closing of that week is below the closing of previous week. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red bars. Out of 6, how many are low volume? Sorry, this is high volume. 1, 2, 3, then 4. Out of 6 red bars, 4 red bars come on low volume. What does that mean? It means that the institutions are not selling. Okay. So I want majority of the red bars to be on low volume, and preferably the green bar should be on high volume. That is a good sign. Buying coming up, buying demand coming up. So when you look at a base on a weekly time frame chart, look at where the base begins. From that base, now this blue range starts from the high of this candle. It's not properly visible here because the bar is thick. If I make it a thin bar, it will be very clear. Let's say I make it thin bar. You see it starts from here. So I will change the settings again. We don't want thin bars. So from where the base starts, we'll count the number of red bars. We see the volume on the red bars. If the majority of the red bars are coming on low volume, that means institutional selling is not coming. Institutional selling is not coming, which means there is still some steam left in the stock. And this is base number 2. So technically speaking, this is a good trade. Okay, the stock was bought inside the range. What's the range? The range is 552.75, 580.40. And what's her buying price? Her buying price is 555. Sorry, 554, which is inside the range. Okay, so let's draw that. So this is her buy point, 554. Let me give it thick dotted line. Okay, that's the buy price. So you see the yellow line is inside the blue zone. Okay, or just it was bought at the lower end of the blue zone. So the execution was very, very good here. And I think she kept the stop loss at 8%. Let me see whether she has mentioned the stop loss. Since it was a positional trade, I first analyzed the weekly chart for the ranges. At the time when I executed this trade, I had completed only around 15 to 20 videos of your course. My understanding at that time was entering the trade within the buy range would be ideal for positional trade. Now I knew that early entry is possible for positional trade. So basically, see, this we will discuss later in the next video, but I want to talk about, see, because all of this she's talking about trade management, okay? This one. I want to end the video up till here because this is important. If the entry itself is a problem, what's the point in discussing trade management? The purpose of this video is to help you understand that technically the entry was correct because it was bought inside the buying range. Okay, let me reduce the line. The line doesn't look good. Yeah, now it looks fantastic. Okay, so the stock was bought inside the blue zone. So she's saying that at the time that she bought the trade, she had only completed 20 videos. So she did not know the whole game of positional trading. Here she talks about positional trade early entry. I knew that early entry is possible for positional trade. Early entry means daily time frame chart. So let's go to trading view. Let's go to daily time frame chart. So in this base, she bought the stock on 15 September somewhere here. So she's talking about early entry. If the stock gives a proper buy point in the green zone, we don't need to go to the weekly time frame chart to buy the stock because the pivot point is normally the high of this base. So if I get an entry into the green zone, that's called an early entry. So I might get that additional 1 or 2% return. That is what she's talking about. Okay. So when a beginner is discussing all these things, it's very inspirational because this is very technical thing. If you are coming to this channel for the first time, probably some of the things that I'm discussing you won't understand. Some of you won't even know what this green, blue, and red is all about. So this is really an advanced discussion going on here. So if you do not understand what is going on here, please spend good time on my YouTube channel. Come back to this video. You will really understand what is going on here. This lady has spent a lot of time, like multiple hours on the channel, multiple hours looking at videos, which is the reason why she is able to discuss all of this in a very technical way. She does not, I don't think she has a finance background. In the previous email, she mentioned that she is an engineer, so she does not have a finance background, and she's also not working in the corporate. She is a homemaker from Tamil Nadu. So she does not have a finance background, but still she is able to discuss all of this in a very technical, professional way. This is very inspiring and encouraging. So if you are a beginner, I am encouraging you to do this kind of hard work. I am encouraging you to show this kind of dedication. If you are a beginner, if she can do this, you can also do this, right? And by the way, she is not a student. She is just a subscriber. She is probably not even enrolled in the video course. Just a subscriber. So just by watching some videos, she has figured out what's the buy point, sell range, and everything, which is fantastic. So in this video, the purpose was to help you understand how the trade was identified technically on the weekly time frame chart. I also took you to Market Smith. By the way, look at these blue dots. Blue dots means the relative strength of the stock is at a 52-week high, which means the stock has never been as strong compared to the Nifty as it is in this particular base. So we want the blue dot to be inside the base. See, it is inside the base. You see here, it's inside the base. And it is base number 2. So it's not that she bought a base 4 or a base 5 stock. It's an early stage stock. We will continue this story in the next video because every trade, I think, is a story which needs to be discussed thoroughly. I will also give you reasons as to why I did not get into the stock. Okay, I have my own reasons of not getting into the stock. Just because she got into the stock and I did not get into the stock does not mean that it was a wrong decision. I don't look at trading as a binary decision. I look at trading from a risk management point of view. I probably did not enter the trade because I perceived some risk in this trade, probably because of comparative analysis. I don't remember. I will have to check, and that checking I will do on the video itself. Okay, so when I'm making the video, I will understand why I personally did not get into the stock. So this story will continue in part 3. Thank you so much.